You know that feeling when you get a blood test report back? You look at that wall of abbreviations and numbers, and your eyes just glaze over? We've all been there. Well, today, we're going to crack the code on one of those key values you might not know about.
So, have you ever been scanning your results and seen PCT sitting there next to a number and thought, what on earth is that? If so, you've come to the right place. We're going to break down exactly what this little acronym means for your health.
But first things first, to understand PCT, we have to talk about what it's even measuring. And that means we need to get to know the unsung heroes of your bloodstream, your platelets.
Okay, so picture this. Your platelets are like your body's own dedicated 24/7 emergency repair crew. I mean it. These tiny but absolutely mighty cells are constantly patrolling your blood vessels. And the second they find a leak or any damage, their main job is to rush to the scene and form a plug to stop the bleeding. But they're multi-talented. They also get involved with your immune system and inflammation processes. They are just essential.
So, if the platelets are the repair crew, how do we know how strong that crew is? How do we measure its overall presence? Well, that's exactly where Thrombocrit, or PCT, comes in. It gives us this crucial big-picture view. So what is PCT exactly? This is super important. It's not just a simple count of how many platelets you have. It actually measures the total volume they take up in your blood. It's a percentage that tells us just how much space that entire population of platelets is occupying.
Here's a great way to think about it. If your platelet count tells you how many soldiers you have in your army, the Thrombocrit, or PCT, tells you the total size and mass of that entire army. And this matters because a huge army of very small, weak soldiers might not be as effective as a smaller army of big, robust ones, right? PCT gives us a much better sense of that total functional mass. Okay, so we know what it is, we know why it's a useful measurement. The big question now is, what number are we actually looking for? What's considered healthy and normal? For most adults, the normal range is surprisingly consistent. It usually falls somewhere between 0.15% and 0.40%. Now, you might look at that and think, wow, that's a tiny percentage. And you're right, it is. But don't let that small number fool you. Even a minor shift outside of this narrow window can be a pretty big deal.
And this right here is where it gets really important. What does it mean when your PCT number is higher or lower than that normal range? This is exactly what your doctor is looking at, because it can be a really helpful signal that something else is going on in your body.
So you've really got two sides of the coin here. If your PCT is too low, that's a condition called thrombocytopenia. Your body might have a hard time forming clots. That means the main risk is increased bleeding or easy bruising. On the flip side, if your PCT is too high, that's thrombosis. Your blood might be a little too good at clotting, and that carries the risk of dangerous blockages that can lead to things like a stroke or a heart attack. So, you might be wondering, what kind of things can push that number up? Well, it can be a reaction to a lot of different stuff. A lot of the time, it's just the body's response to an infection or inflammation, like with arthritis. You can also see it with things like iron deficiency anemia, after a major surgery, or even in conditions like diabetes. Basically, the body is ramping up production of its repair crew because it thinks there's a threat.
Okay, so what about the other way? What causes a low PCT? This usually happens for one of two main reasons. First, the body just might not be making enough platelets to begin with. This could be because of a simple vitamin deficiency or because of more serious issues like bone marrow disorders. Or, second, the platelets you do have might be getting destroyed too quickly, and that can be caused by certain viruses, autoimmune diseases like lupus, or even as a side effect from treatments like chemotherapy.
Whew, okay, we've covered a lot. We know what PCT is, what the normal range looks like, and what it might mean when the levels are high or low. But what's the big takeaway here? How does this one number fit into your overall health picture? And this is probably the most important thing I'm going to say today. An abnormal PCT result is a valuable clue, but it is not a diagnosis. Think of it as one single piece of a much, much larger puzzle. It just points your doctor in a certain direction and tells them, hey, maybe we should look a little closer at this. It doesn't tell the whole story on its own. All right, so let's boil this all down to the key things you need to remember. Number 1, PCT is all about measuring the total volume of your platelet army. Number 2, a number that's too high or too low can be a flag for other health issues. Number 3, and this is the big one, it is just one piece of the puzzle. And number 4, the only person who can put that puzzle together and tell you what it means is your doctor, because they're the one who sees your full health picture.
Look, understanding your own health can feel overwhelming sometimes, but it really does start one number at a time. So hopefully, the next time you see PCT on a lab report, you won't just see a confusing acronym, you'll see a small but powerful little window into how your amazing body is working.